Sound the alarms, Kev, because we have some NBA news. The Kings have agreed to a sign-and-trade that will see Sacramento acquire DeMar DeRozan from the Bulls in a three-team deal. DeRozan's going to get a 3-year, $74 million deal. Keep in mind, he averaged 24 points per game last season for the Bulls, and he's one of 5 players to average 20 points per game in each of his last 11 seasons. So it goes to DeRozan, LeBron, Steph, AD, and Damian Lillard. The Kings are acquiring DeRozan, but the deal also means moving Harrison Barnes to the Spurs. Sacramento is then trading Chris Duarte 2 second-round picks and cash to the Bulls as part of this deal as well. And DeRozan now gets to partner with De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis in Sacramento. And then on cue, because it is Summer League, look at who is there. The newest King arriving at Summer League in Sacramento. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. I am the new guy. Woj is not new to any of this. He's joining us now. Look, how did this finally get to the finish line? How did we get this done?
Well, I think the Kings were the one team with real interest beyond their mid-level exception in DeMar DeRozan. So they were pretty persistent in the last week of trying to get Chicago engaged in this sign and trade. Listen, when you trade for DeMar DeRozan, especially as he's about to turn 35, you are trading for offense. He can still score the ball. You have certainly seen his defense deteriorate as he's gotten older, but this is still a 24, 25-point-a-game scorer. The Kings look at the West. They see other teams improving. And they moved Harrison Barnes out, who played a significant role in getting this team back into the postseason. But they still believe DeRozan has some good basketball left in him, and now he'll take center stage with, De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, and this is a team in Sacramento that wants to get out of the play-in and back into the playoffs.
They're banking on 3 years, $74 million worth of offense. That's Woj.
Moving on to this next subject, it involves the Los Angeles Lakers, who, by the way, failed to land Klay Thompson. That's somebody they needed. They couldn't get him in free agency because he opted to go to Dallas instead. Now Rob Pelinka and the Lakers front office are trying to figure out their next move since re-signing LeBron James to a 2-year, $104 million deal just the other day. One option still on the market, supposedly, is free agent and Los Angeles native DeMar DeRozan, who spent the last few years in Chicago, who's Mr. Mid-Range, who Kendrick Lamar teased, at his concert, could be trying to be a Laker. We know that DeMar DeRozan would love to be a Laker, but he wants to get paid, and I'm not knocking him for that. I think DeMar DeRozan would be a really, really good pickup for the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the stiffest competition is Miami. They've got some questions about Jimmy Butler. DeMar DeRozan is 34 years of age, hasn't had Jimmy Butler's injury history. It'll be interesting to see what Miami does, what DeMar DeRozan ends up doing if he goes to the Los Angeles Lakers, particularly with the money accorded to LeBron James and others. The fact that he ain't trying to touch that second apron or the luxury tax situation. I doubt that he's going to end up in Los Angeles. If he were to end up there, however, even though he'd be an additive, a plus, as opposed to a liability because of his ability to score without needing LeBron James or Anthony Davis to do it for him because he's Mr. Mid-Range, et cetera, I still think it's a little bit different because LeBron James controls the tempo and the ball. And as a result of that, if you're DeMar DeRozan, you don't want to be sitting around waiting for LeBron James to give you the ball because you're not some spot-up shooter. So to me, I think that actually the Miami Heat situation would be a lot better for DeMar DeRozan than the Los Angeles Lakers, even though I would love to see the Lakers get another bona fide scorer on the court with LeBron and with Anthony Davis, of course. But who knows what's going to happen with that. These rumors are percolating about DeMar DeRozan with the Lakers because obviously he's a part of Kendrick Lamar, he's seen in the video anyway. He was at the concert with Kendrick Lamar, all of this other stuff. So we get that, all right? That's what happened with that.
Sports NBA writer Sam Quinn. And look, Sam, we knew DeMar wasn't going to be a Bull, right, after all the rumblings, later into the season and in this offseason. What do you think, though, about the fit with DeMar, De'Aaron Fox, and Domantas Sabonis?
It's a questionable fit on the surface. Now, if you look at what has made Sacramento work over these last 2 years, it's primarily been offense. They have De'Aaron Fox in the backcourt. They have Malik Monk. They were already pretty set on perimeter players who could score but maybe not defend very well. Now they're adding a third one in DeMar DeRozan to the mix. But DeMar doesn't shoot threes. He's primarily an on-ball player. That really hurts De'Aaron Fox value because, look, he's become a better shooter over the last 2 years. But De'Aaron Fox is somebody who's at his best with the ball in his hands as well. So suddenly, is this going to affect Malik Monk's shooting volume? Is Domantas Sabonis going to be able to run as much offense himself through the high post? I have some questions about the fit here. If I were going to invest this kind of money and throw in an unprotected pick swap, my inclination would have been we should probably be targeting somebody who is a little bit more inclined towards defense. You know, look, the Kings may have declined a bit offensively last year. They fell to number 13 in the rankings. There were injuries behind that. Malik Monk missed time at the end of the year. Kevin Huerter missed time at the end of the year. But they were the most efficient offense in NBA history 2 years ago. I don't think offense was really the problem. Now they've really doubled down on offense here. They're a very guard-heavy team, and they've added somebody who doesn't necessarily augment the players that they already had.
Right. And you talk about defense. You need that, as we saw with the Boston Celtics. When you have a very well-balanced defensive attack, and then you also add that with the offense, that is very hard to stop. The Kings, they do not have that currently presented. Now, I do want to know your perspective here, Sam. Where do they rank in terms of the West? Because apparently Sacramento did this, you know, to try to keep up with all the great teams in the Western Conference. But I think you and I know it's probably, at least on paper, not really moving them up a whole lot.
No, there's a very clear top four in the West here. In whatever order you want to put it, it's Oklahoma City, it's Dallas, it's Denver. You know, it's these teams that were already there at the end last year. I don't think that this really moves the Kings into that tier. I think this maybe makes them a little bit safer as far as, could you get into the top 6? Could you maybe have home court in a play-in round? Only have to win one play-in game, get in that 7-8 range. But the West is so tight. We saw this last year. There were large stretches of the season where the Kings were a top 6 team in the standings. And then they suffer a few injuries down the stretch. And the West is so deep that they fall all the way down to number 9. What I will say about DeMar DeRozan that helps, he's very durable, he tends to be on the court, and he's very consistent. If you do lose De'Aaron Fox for a 10-15 game stretch, if you do lose Malik Monk at the end of the year, it really does help to have DeMar DeRozan there. When you get to clutch situations, De'Aaron Fox was the clutch player of the year in 2023. DeMar DeRozan was the runner-up last year. You now have 2 of the best clutch shot makers in the NBA. The hope there is that you're going to be able to steal a couple of close games late that you might not have gotten last year. But, like, look, ultimately the defense is such a problem. Like, I can't expect them to keep up with the Thunder, with the Mavericks, with the Nuggets, with the Timberwolves, these teams that have proven that they can, over a full season, sustain it on both ends of the floor. And look, if DeMar was a great three-point shooter, if I saw this acquisition and thought, man, the Kings are going to be the #1 offense in the NBA again, they have great spacing, all of the fits really make sense together, then I might be a little bit more inclined to call them a contender. But given the questionable fit, the defensive issues, and by the way, DeMar DeRozan's about to turn 35. He's no spring chicken here, so they're probably, to me, at best looking at a 5 seed, more likely hanging around that play-in mix again, maybe slightly better than they were last year.
Okay, so if they get the 5 seed, then, of course, that is an improvement from what they did last year. You know, the team that a lot of people have interesting theories about, right? The Chicago Bulls, right? They get a couple second-rounders back. I think there are more details coming out. They've now lost, you know, DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso. Who knows what's going to happen with Zach LaVine? Where do they go from here, man?
You know, this trade has 2 real benefits for the Bulls. Obviously, you're trying to get worse this year. That's the idea for a lot of these teams at the bottom of the standings. We have a great 2025 NBA draft class coming with Cooper Flagg at the top. The Bulls have made a concerted decision to take a step back, try to get a top player in this class. By the way, their first-round pick, it is technically still owed to the San Antonio Spurs this year. It's protected top 8 from that DeMar DeRozan trade 3 years ago. So now they're protecting their first-round pick by getting a little bit worse by getting off of DeRozan. But from a fit perspective, they've really committed to Josh Giddey here. When you trade Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey, a player who really struggled in the playoffs last year, you are really committing to putting a team around him that makes sense. Josh Giddey needs to have the ball in his hand basically all of the time to function in the modern NBA. That's what happens when you have a point guard who doesn't really shoot threes. DeMar DeRozan is not a three-point shooter. He made no sense next to Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey was not going to benefit watching DeMar dribble and jab step and throw up mid-range jumpers. He needs to be surrounded by shooters as much as possible. Getting DeRozan off of the team helps on that front, but they also quietly pick up Chris Duarte in this trade. It's been a not great last few years, but Chris Duarte was a promising rookie. He's a shooter. He's somebody that I think it makes sense for the Bulls to take a chance on as a potential fit next to Giddey. So this is good work by them to not only get rid of a player who didn't make sense for them, but to add somebody else who does on the lower levels and then set themselves up for the 2025 NBA draft.
With all that being said, Sam, when you look at the Eastern Conference, who is the worst team in that conference? Are we talking the Nets or Chicago?
I want to say, if we're going at the true bottom, I almost have to say the Pistons, just after winning 14 games.
Forget about the Nets. The Pistons are, whew.
Now, to be fair on the Nets point, if they trade Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith tomorrow, and both of them have been in rumors, I do think they have a chance to be a really bad team, which is the goal. That's why you trade for your first-round pick back from the Rockets. They haven't done it yet. I suspect it'll happen, whether it's during the offseason or the deadline. It does not benefit the Nets to be good this year. They made a very concerted effort in the Mikal Bridges trade that they made to get to the bottom. So I'm inclined to say the teams at the absolute bottom of the East right now are probably in some order Brooklyn, Detroit, and Chicago. But it's the East. We get here every year, and we get to the end of the season, and there are 5 or 6 teams that you look at and say, like, man, somebody had to be the number 10 seed, but not great.
All right, Sam Quinn bringing it down as DeMar DeRozan is heading back to his home state, California, going to suit up for the Sacramento Kings. Thanks so much, Sam, for the time. So here's what DeMar did for the Chicago Bulls last season. He ranked first in minutes, points, and assists. And
Eastern Side Beats.
Fuck on Big J on the
Hey,
spot.
B,
I'm my
spin
boy
that
Calvin on the
bitch.
spot. Big Queens, North as fuck. Foreign whips to the big jet. He getting money, yo, it's like how we did that. Running up that bag, niggas mad, big fat. Being in my section, getting big smack. Foreign whips to the big jet. He getting money, yo, it's like how we did that. Running up that bag, niggas mad, big fat. Being in my section, getting big smack. Foreign whips to the big jet. He been crying all week and he still ain't get his bitch back. We get bread and she dig that. His glass slips for the big packs. Been hitting TD 3 weeks, it ain't clipped yet. Show him how to make a big flex. Bust 100, that's a big snack. It ain't money, I ain't with that. Play with my money, hear that click clack. Nigga, get your shit back. I've been in this for a big while. You a small dog, little child. Show him how we get wild. Stack this money up and let it pile. Me and Child in the spot, let it snow. They gon' need a plow. Niggas hate, but they jack style. Fuck impact to the Matic, I've been going wild. Shorty wanna eat, nigga had to dig it down. Know I'm from the rock, so I don't play around. Foreign whips to the big jet. He getting money, yo, his life, how we did that. Running up that bag, niggas mad, big fat. Guys being in my section, getting big smack. Foreign whips to the big jet. He getting money, yo, his life, how we did that. Running up that bag, niggas mad, big fat. Guys being in my section, getting big smack.
We gon' fuck up a bag, niggas mad that we flexin'. Diamonds on my neck, so you know we got protection. New wave sound, real niggas get in tune, and we bout to run the views. Yeah, and we only going viral, only throwing high-low. Bad bitches, and they only love to swallow. Me and Puerto Ricans, and we only poppin' bottles. Never fuck with hood bitches, only top models. Yeah, it's that big step of shit, not that broke nigga shit. Niggas talk about money, but they never had shit. You can find me in that black truck, or that new foreign whip. Yeah, it's that big step of shit, not that broke nigga shit. Niggas talk about money, but they never had shit. You can find me in that black truck, or that new foreign whip.
Foreign whips to the big jet. He getting money, yo, his